Welcome to the Pitchwerks podcast. I'm Scott McTaggart. Over the last 20 years, I've been a sales rep, a marketer, a manager, an executive, a consultant, and an advisor. This show is designed to give you access to my list of contacts so that you can learn more about how to present your ideas at work and succeed in your career.
Startups and salespeople, marketers and managers from the Epicast Network in Pittsburgh. It's the Pitchwerks podcast.
You want to sell something? Show somebody numbers. People are in the business to make a certain set of numbers go higher. Connect your knowledge to a set of numbers and you can sell almost anything.
All right, welcome back. Today, Earl Wyatt had a conversation with me. He's the founder of a company called Feedigital. Feedigital is bringing a personal touch to the monetization of web space. So you've got a web app, you've got a website, a blog, something like that, and you want to place some advertisements on it. Typically, you're going to go to Google, you're going to go to Amazon. That's really an impersonal kind of an experience compared to what Earl's trying to do. He wants to help you get the right brands in there, make sure that you don't have any weird conflicts. Earl's trying to take the standard agency approach with exclusively digital placements. So it's an interesting conversation. Definitely get into that. This was a long one. I would say he and I probably talked for 45, 50 minutes. Obviously, we try to keep the show kind of bite-sized so that you can listen to it on your commute to or from work. If you join Pitchwerks Premium, you'll get the full interview. You do that on the website. It's about $10 a month. Obviously, weekly webinars, all the other different advertisement things that I got to squeeze in here. But legitimately, I think there's a lot of value in these extended interviews for people who really are trying to get better at this craft and learn a little bit more. If you would do us the favor of giving us a star rating, telling us how we're doing, whether it be good or bad, it'd be really useful. We're going to start the interview here with Earl. If you need us, you can always reach us online using the handle Pitchwerks, Pitchwerks. Is this the one, the only Earl Wyatt?
That would be I.
Well, I think we're in good shape then.
Yes.
Earl Wyatt, a pitch man of many stripes, has spent some time in the advertising business and wants to share some of what he learned with us through his startup, Feedigital. Earl, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Scott. I'm doing well.
I'm glad to have you on the show. I really like, you're a genuine pitch man. You actually work in the advertising space where you get paid to make pitches for other people. And that makes you a fantastic guest for this program. So thank you for coming aboard.
Thank you. Thank you. I did get to do that for a while. That was fun.
What did you think of that?
It was a lot of fun. It's funny. I got into that world as a web developer and spent 4 years working on web assets for the digital end of an ad agency, PR firm.
Right.
And then left so that I could just focus on the part that I like, the client facing. There's a lot of energy that goes into it. So yeah, I liked being able to pick a tie out and figure out how I was going to start an inane conversation that ended with "give me money." That was a lot of fun.
Right. So you like the digital more, though, you say?
I did.
What was it about the digital that appealed to you?
I built it myself for years. So having an understanding of an asset that you yourself have actually created is a lot easier than maybe selling a washing machine when you don't quite know how to repair one.
Right.
I was more intimately involved with the product that was being sold.
So, and I apologize, I'm ignorant to this whole process, right? I've never gone through the agency program, and I think probably a lot of our audience hasn't either. So when someone comes on board as a new agency client, what does that look like? Oh,
that's people roll out the red carpet for you. That's everything inside, the first couple meetings. It's if you have a T-shirt with your logo, people are wearing that T-shirt. If they don't, we had one made. The idea is that you make someone feel as though their business is the only business that matters inside that office.
And it definitely, that's definitely part of the sales process. How does the customer, though, the client, how do they start explaining their ideas to a crew that doesn't work in their industry?
A lot of people in this industry want they want institutional knowledge, and they understand that it's key to selling. There's a benefit to the fact that they could be an outside party, and they'll know, for example, they'll know what Coca-Cola's brand name mean to them prior to coming on board. But then at some point, they'll also want to hire somebody who's working in a cola plant. If that's part of the pitch, and they want to be able to show, how that's impacted by the people who are doing it daily. You know what I mean?
I get it. You're bringing in someone who doesn't, if I understand you correctly, sometimes you're bringing in someone from outside of your agency, specifically as a subject matter expert.
Exactly.
Boy, that's a gig I want to get into.
Well, I got to tell you, it's also based on numbers. You want to sell something, show somebody numbers. People are in the business to make a certain set of numbers go higher. Connect your knowledge to a set of numbers, and you can sell almost anything.
Yeah, I want to be a subject matter expert, everybody. Call me. I'm available. Tweet me up on the Pitchwerks handle and be like, we want you to be a subject matter expert on podcasting, on somewhat misplaced opinions, on the virtues of the Android cell phone family. I can help. 1-800-Pitchwerks. Actually, don't. I don't own that number.
No. Okay.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. And some poor guy is going to get that phone call and be like, I'll hire you. So for what?
See, I wouldn't go into my deliverance impression, but I feel like it's inappropriate at this point.
I'm getting that same vibe. I feel a sort of teetering close to it. So I'm gonna super quick. I'm gonna pull the e-brake and we're gonna make a left turn. Ready? It's gonna be Tokyo Drift.
We're drifting.
All right. So you're in a traditional creative space. You find out that digital is your baby, right?
Yes.
Tell me about now when you start to get the idea that you want to be an entrepreneur in the digital advertising space.
Kind of funny. When I left the one large agency to go to another, I'm going to leave the names out of it temporarily.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. When I went to go to another, after 3 months of working pitches, 4 months, I was in a massive car accident. And as a consultant, I was already technically working for myself in that space, so I think a large part of it was to make more of my own money.
Right.
I knew what it was worth on the open market as an hourly billable, and I liked the idea of taking more of that money home myself.
Okay.
But after being in a pretty sizable car accident and not being able to work for a while, it really forced me to want to organize and get incorporated, take more stock of how to turn that into a business that could function even if I wasn't getting up and going every day to work. I got the chance to see what the hourly rate could be or was when it was built from a larger agency. I figured I'd rather trim a few of those dollars off and make more of that money than have it be considerably higher and I make the smaller fraction of it. But anybody who thinks that they want to go into business for themselves, that they could work for themselves and they don't want to work for anyone else, is sadly mistaken. I think when you work for yourself, everyone who could potentially write you a check is a boss. Every client is a boss. And when you don't have any clients, the general public is your boss when you're trying to get them on board. If they tell you that they only take meetings with people wearing red ties, I guarantee you're going to go out and buy a red tie. I've never had a boss for any job I had, other than maybe when I was a waiter at a restaurant, dictate what colored tie I was wearing. But if the books and the market trends and any sales coach is telling you that you need to wear a red tie walking into your first meeting, I bet money that you would actually do it. And that's an indication that, no, you're not necessarily captain of your own ship, or I guess the better way to put it, when you're captain of your own ship, now the weatherman is your boss.
It's true. It's absolutely the truth. Whenever people are just trying to run away from the tyranny of someone else's decisions, I tell them, you need to be as far away from the customer as possible then. Your boss is the best friend you have. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, exactly.
The market is a proving ground, and the people who won't, to use your example, buy the red tie, they may survive. I don't know that they'll flourish. So, as you're aware, here on the Pitchwerks podcast, we ask every guest to pitch us on their product. And I am going to ask you, in your short, punchy, elevator pitch sort of way, I want you to pitch me on Feedigital. And I also want to point out that, full disclosure, we are actually looking at the use of Feedigital here as we start to grow this business. So please, sell me in real life. Don't just give me the hypothetical pitch. Paint me like one of your French girls. No, sorry. That's a completely different script. My fault. Somehow Titanic ended up here on the table.
I admit it after that. That was
very good.
Well executed, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Feedigital. I'm just opening this door at this point. Scott, Pitchwerks is an online brand currently, yes?
Yes.
How much money are you making off of your brand alone?
Nothing.
Right now. I'm not talking about selling advertising, I'm talking about the brand itself. How much is that getting you?
Nothing.
How about the web presence itself online? How much is that making you right now?
As of right now, nothing.
I can guarantee you I can make those numbers higher than what they currently are by making a few phone calls. And that's money that you're not making already. It's money that you should be making, and it's money that's not going to cost you any money to make.
Okay, you have my attention.
The way we do that at Feedigital is we help you market your online web assets, making your brand make you money without you being in the room, without you being on the phone, without you having to send out a bunch of emails. We've got a sales staff that essentially finds sponsors, advertisers who are interested in marketing your space for you. And we take our percentage from the sale. So you don't have to pay to hire us, but we'll be the most efficient employee you have.
Feedigital is an interesting idea in the fact that there are so many digital properties out there. So I'm going to go back a ways, and not everybody may remember this, but I remember when the word blog was a weird word that most people didn't know what it meant. And the idea of having, say, a corporate blog or having a interest-based blog was a venture unto itself. And then it was essentially one person and one person's vision. And then a lot of those blogs, and one of the easiest ones I think probably to point to, if you look at the development of, say, TechCrunch, or I'll give you another one that's more political in nature. Look at where the Daily Kos went, right, where they ended up with a staff and an advertising group and whatnot. Would you agree that the blog companies that exist tend to be a little lacking in the organization department?
They do.
So,
but and it worked, absolutely.
Yeah, I would assume that part of that has to do with the fact that it's difficult to coordinate a staff that's geographically diverse. I would figure that a lot of times you're more trying to get the best writers than you are trying to get local writers. Then you try to localize, sort of a back office staff, but you're still trying to maintain a national, if not global presence. Do you think I have it right so far?
I think you do. Well, it depends on what the purpose of what the subject matter is.
So let's assume it's race cars or model trains or something that's more affinity based.
Then it's super diverse in terms of geolocation, as well as I would say as well as appeal. To be honest, but from a management standpoint, yes, it's very difficult to coordinate that many personalities at that many and that are not coexisting in one space.
So I would think that if I heard your pitch correctly, that's kind of who you're aiming at. Is you're presupposing a certain level of I hate to say disorganization because I'm not trying to offend or insult anyone, but it kind of does feel like, well, this would be a lot easier if we were all in the same building. But then you're kind of ignoring all the advances we've made over the last 20 years in what technology will do for you. So I mean no disrespect in it. I just think that some of the better media companies probably have remote employees writing articles, and then some of those employees have administrative tasks on their list of responsibilities. And then
without question, yeah.
Okay, so you're appealing to the people that generally have maybe one office and they need global appeal or national appeal?
Well, I'm really appealing to the people who are not making as much money as they would like to be making from their online assets. And it's interesting because it's not always a blog. Sometimes it's a community center that, they've got a place where everybody's going to be checking out what day the pool opens every spring. I mean, it's normally a Saturday around Memorial Day, but let's say they get creative with it and do it around December.
Right.
If they do that, they normally have a website that's getting a solid amount of traffic. We'll do some evaluation to determine how much traffic they're getting and what's the best way to approach people for it. But I do have the relationships with the advertising agencies. Digital staff, they generally it's an incestuous industry, so people are moving around quite a bit. I do have the relationships that they may not have. I do understand that there's going to be a need to advertise on places where, let's say, you're going to catch early to middle-aged soccer moms at these are the people who will be looking at this website. Being able to match that audience with people who are trying to reach that audience is priceless. So while I'm not necessarily just making it efficient for people who may have who may suffer from a little bit of disorganization, I'm actually opening their world to a level of revenue that can be made that doesn't require them to do anything except for say yes.
I think to that end, I think a lot of people turn to Google AdWords. They turn to Amazon. I forget what that program is called, but you know what I mean. Amazon Affiliates that's the name of it.
Yeah.
Now, I think the appeal to that, and you tell me if I'm wrong, is that it is automated, and it seems as though it appeals to people being worried that they're too small of a fish. Does that make sense?
Oh, wow. Scott, you nailed it. That is it. The way most digital advertising works, in these, whether it's Google AdWords, Amazon affiliates program, the person who visits your web asset, your website, let's say you had a phone app, the person who visits there's cookies that are on their browser, on their side of the app, not so much with the mobile, but if someone goes by way of a browser, and we offer that as well. What we do differently is we have one client that she's a financial, she helps with financial literacy, teaching people about better ways of managing their money. And there will be books that are going to want to reach that audience specifically. Now, instead of catching them no matter what website they go to, there's something impactful about when you go to a website that's for this specific reason, to learn about financial literacy, to find out about certain programs. And that when you get to that website, there's a product that is being advertised that is exactly what you need. I feel that there's a certain amount of impact that gives her website, a little more, not credibility, but it raises the impact level. But at the same time, it allows the advertiser to know they're going to meet a potential customer in their comfortable space, in their natural space, when they're looking for that type of information. Trying to sell me a burger when I'm looking at a better way of selling, of managing my money, may be a better way for Google to make more money from an advertiser, but it's not the best way for that advertiser to get a sale.
So when I was listening to your pitch, I was listening to it not just from my own perspective. I was also listening to it from that Google AdWords, Amazon affiliates kind of a perspective, where I was thinking, okay, if I were just getting started, let's assume for a moment that I am the world's preeminent expert on orthotic shoes. right? Something really kind of fringy. Now, I want to start this out, and I'm Dr. Scott. I have Dr. Scott's Orthotic Shoe Shop here in Pittsburgh, and I want to write the Orthotic Shoe blog. I would be sitting here thinking, I shouldn't call that guy from Feedigital because I'm afraid I'm too small. And that's why I asked you the question. Now, here's where I ask you the follow-up. What's the right stage or size where someone should reach out?
I would say that for me to allocate resources to finding more sponsors for you.
Right. There's a practical aspect to it as well.
There is a practical aspect where I got to put the bodies near where the temperature is.
Exactly.
When it comes to websites, which one's hotter, that's going to get a little bit of focus.
Well, if I've got the Orthotic Shoe blog, I'm actually probably pulling pretty good search engine results. I probably have pretty good traffic because it's such a specific subject that a lot of people need. And I'm a doctor, so I have some credibility and people are linking to my site. Let's say let's use the low numbers. Let's say I have 5,000 impressions per month. And let's say half of those are unique.
Yeah, I think that at that point, I'm thinking one block in the center of whatever your sidebar set up. I'd have to look at the way the page was set up.
Yeah.
But we'd find strategic locations to place those. And then after that, at 5,000, what we could probably do, because we do most of our advertising with impression only, not cost per click.
Okay.
It's impression. We want to find, and so that's better for organizations building brand awareness or businesses that want to drive home their leadership in an industry. So if I'm doing that, and I'm thinking, let's say, who's a really good shoe company for orthopedics at this point?
Let's just make it up and call it the XYZ company.
XYZ company has solid sales, but what they don't know is they haven't made themselves, we talked about Coca-Cola earlier, they haven't made themselves the Coca-Cola of that cola world.
Right.
They want to be known that way. And it's worth 2 to 4 cents per impression to see it.
Okay.
Now, 5,000 a month, that's, 5,000, 2 cents, about $100.
Yeah, that's a pretty good move on their part.
At $100, to put that person in front of 5,000 potential customers and a lockout kind of a rate
there you go.
Is a no-brainer. So I start with it too, just to make a point. But easily charging them between 4 and 5 cents makes $200. My company would take a split, obviously, from that, but they still get the visibility that they need in front of this audience.
Right.
And the person who owns that blog that's $150, $200 that they wouldn't have made otherwise. And they literally didn't do anything except for pasting something on their website.
Like what you're hearing? Want more? Join Pitchwerks Premium and dig deeper with our interactive weekly webinars and the uncut version of every interview. Register at pitchwerks.com.
So here's a question for you. When you're talking to a potential advertiser, you're talking to, let's just go right back to Coca-Cola. They've been an example a couple times now.
Right.
How do you say to them that you think you have something that they'd be interested in?
Well, here's one of the parts that's interesting, is that Coca-Cola, depending on which product, they're one of the companies that would have an agency of record. So what happens to me more often than not is I would build a relationship with we'll call them Agency X.
Okay, Agency X.
They're headquartered somewhere in New York, but they probably have an office in Philadelphia. They have an office somewhere in Miami. What they will do is they'll say, hey, listen, we want to reach this audience for Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a budget every year for how much money they're allowed to spend to get more people to pay attention to Coca-Cola.
Okay.
They would call me.
Okay.
They would email me.
They would tell you what they're looking for.
Yes. We want to reach this audience. we know that you can reach them with this property or this property over here, whether it's a blog, whether it's a splash page at some public space.
But you've got to have a ton of different properties that you're trying to keep all in top of mind. So are they keeping records of every property that you have as a client?
So what I've done recently is I've just called friends and said, hey, listen, I can do this, I can do this, I have this type of an audience. Does that interest you at all?
Right, because you've been in the industry for long enough that you can do it basically on contacts at this point.
I can. And so now the returns are a lot lower than what Ari Gold probably makes on Entourage, but I do enjoy the fact that I can call someone and say, hey, listen, I do have this website. The advertising rate per impression I can do at this rate. Does that sound like something you're interested in?
What is the best, most successful pitch you've ever delivered?
I literally just did it maybe a week ago, and it was the financial blog that we were just talking about.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that they got on. I really like them because they're established, and everything's not completely signed yet. So while the close has been guaranteed and they have documents, I don't want to say it by name just yet.
Very good.
But I had a great opportunity where I called someone who they didn't think it was too good to be true. They just didn't feel like it was a decision they had to make right away.
Oh, there's no urgency in the pitch.
There's no urgency. Well, I thought that I brought a sufficient amount of urgency without making it sound like my future was direly dependent on it.
Right.
But it wasn't. But I felt like, no, this is something you can be doing now. Well, no, this is a conversation we wouldn't mind having next month. Like, why would you miss out on a month's worth of earnings simply because it's taking this? And they weren't listening at first. The difficult part was they kept feeling like I was going to make them write a check, or I was going to require them to do something other than documents that needed to be signed that basically that protect us against them not knowing what the terms and the agreements were.
Okay, so what went so well about it? Why was it the best?
It was the best because they went from on a scale of 1 to 10, they went from a -1 for fearing their own effort to being able to feel during the course of the conversation them always automatically going up to an 11. You know, going from no thank you to, well, why does that work? To when would I need to do this? To I don't have time right now. To let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and get started. I don't have them that difficult. They're either an all the way up or an all the way down. And this one was one of those where it started -1, but I could tell it should have been a 10. And we got all the way up to 11. I think they're actually going to bring another site on with them. One
last thing before we go. If someone wants to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Earl at Feedigital. EARL at Feedigital.com. You can go to Feedigital.com and see why you'd want to reach out to me, but I'm pretty responsive to my email address.
I'm going to do it with my radio voice. Ready?
All right.
EARL at FEEDIGITAL.com.
Wow.
That was smooth like greased glass, was it not?
Yes, it was.
Earl, a pleasure as always, sir. Don't be a stranger. Hit me up, especially if you find yourself out this way, all right? Earl's trying to take the standard agency approach with exclusively digital placements. So it's an interesting conversation. Definitely get into that. This was a long one. I would say he and I probably talked for 45, 50 minutes. Obviously, we try to keep the show kind of bite-sized so that you can listen to it on your commute to or from work. If you join Pitchwerks Premium, you'll get the full interview. You do that on the website. It's about $10 a month. Obviously, weekly webinars, all the other different advertisement things that I got to squeeze in here. But legitimately, I think there's a lot of value in these extended interviews for people who really are trying to get better at this craft and learn a little bit more. So sign up for that on the website if you're interested. If you need us, You can always reach us online using the handle Pitchwerks, Pitchwerks. Again, very different way of doing digital advertisement. That's going to be very interesting to us. I am very much thinking about putting Feedigital in on the Pitchwerks site or another property perhaps, just to see how that goes. Earl and I will continue that conversation. I'll probably update you on the Pitchcraft blog to let you know what we decide to do, what our results are. That could be interesting there. But tune in next week. It's going to be 7 days. We'll put another podcast in your player. Again, remember, rate, review, all those kinds of things. Make sure we know how we're doing. Stars are great. Actual feedback is better. We're trying to shape this show around you and what it is that you need from us. All right? We'll catch you in about a week.
The Pitchwerks podcast comes to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a production of the Epicast Network and McTaggart, LLC. Engineering and production by Buzzy Torek and Nick Miller. For more information, show feedback, and ad sales, visit pitchwerks.com. pitchwerks.com. On social media, find and follow the show on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram using that same brand name, pitchwerks.